Most people assume the best air conditioner you can buy is the one with the biggest brand name on the side panel and the highest price tag on the invoice. That assumption costs homeowners thousands of dollars every single year, and I have watched it happen more times than I can count. Here is what actually happens when you buy that way. You walk into that conversation with an HVAC contractor, you hear a name you recognize from a television ad, you see a big SEER number that sounds impressive, and you sign. A few years later, the thing is underperforming, your energy bills are barely lower than they were with your old unit, and you are wondering what went wrong. What went wrong is that nobody told you the truth about what the word best actually means when it comes to air conditioners. I have spent a long time in this space, watching what works and what fails, watching homeowners get steered toward equipment that served the contractor's margin better than it served their home. I know what the sales pitch looks like, and I know what the reality looks like once the truck pulls out of your driveway. Before I go any further, I want to point something out. The QR code you see right now in the top right corner of your screen, that is the guide that goes alongside this video. Open your camera app on your phone, point it at that code in the top right corner, and you can pull up the full ebook that walks through every factor I am about to discuss, in far more detail than a single video can hold. That QR code stays pinned up there for the entire video, so you can scan it whenever you are ready. No need to stop what you are doing right now. The guide walks you through the full comparison and gives you a clear framework so you walk into any contractor conversation knowing exactly what to ask. Now let me get into the video. The two myths I hear most often are worth naming right now. Myth 1. The most expensive unit is the most reliable. In practice, price and reliability do not track each other as closely as the industry would like you to believe. Myth 2. A higher SEER rating always saves you more money. That one is seductive, and it is mostly wrong, and I will explain exactly why in a few minutes. By the end of this video, you are going to know which AC unit genuinely fits most homes, what actually separates a good purchase from a regrettable one, and you will walk into any conversation with a contractor knowing more than they expect you to know. You will never be the person nodding along while someone upsells you on features your house does not need. Let us start with the single most important thing nobody talks about in these discussions. The installation matters more than the equipment. I know that is not what you came here to hear. You came here hoping I would point at one specific brand and say that is the one, and I will get there. But if I skip past this point, I am doing you a disservice. An outstanding air conditioning unit installed carelessly will perform worse than an average unit installed by someone who genuinely knows what they are doing. That is not opinion, that is physics. If the refrigerant charge is off by even a small amount, your efficiency numbers drop significantly. If the ductwork leaks, and in a lot of older homes it does, the most efficient compressor in the world cannot overcome that. If the unit is oversized for your home, it will short cycle, meaning it kicks on and off too quickly, fails to remove humidity the way it should, and wears itself out faster than it should. If it is undersized, it runs constantly and still cannot cool the house on a hot afternoon. So the first thing you are shopping for is not a brand. It is a contractor who does what is called a manual J-load calculation before they ever quote you a unit. That calculation accounts for your home's square footage, insulation, window area, local climate, and a dozen other variables. If a contractor walks through your home for 5 minutes, gives you a quick glance, and then quotes you a size based on square footage alone, walk away. That is not how this is done right. The size of the unit is determined by math, not by eyeballing it. This is the single piece of advice that saves folks the most money, and it costs you nothing to ask for it. Now, with that foundation laid, let us talk about brands, because that is the heart of what this video is really about. The brands you probably hear most often are Carrier, Trane, Lennox, Rheem, and Goodman. Each one of those has its defenders and its critics, and the internet will give you passionate opinions in every direction. Here is the honest view, based on watching these units in the real world. Carrier and Trane are the names that get mentioned most often as top tier, and they are solid manufacturers. Their build quality is generally good, their parts availability is wide, and their dealer networks are extensive. But you pay for the name. A mid-range Carrier or Trane unit will run you noticeably more than an equivalent unit from Rheem or Lennox in the same efficiency class. The question is whether that premium translates into meaningfully better performance or longevity. In many cases, honestly, it does not translate as much as the price difference suggests. Lennox makes some genuinely excellent equipment, particularly at the higher efficiency tiers. They have pushed SEER ratings further than most of the competition, and their top-line units are well engineered. The downside with Lennox is that parts can sometimes be harder to source if you are outside a major metro area, and not every independent technician is deeply familiar with their systems. If you live in a rural area or a smaller town, that matters. Rheem is a brand that does not always get the credit it deserves. In my experience, Rheem makes a dependable, honest product at a price point that is more accessible than Carrier or Trane. They have improved substantially over the last decade, and their warranty support has been reasonable. If someone told me they were on a budget and needed something that would serve them well for 15 or more years, Rheem would be on my short list. Goodman is the budget end of this conversation, and I want to give it a fair hearing. Goodman gets dismissed a lot because the price is low, and people assume low price means low quality. That is not always the case. Goodman was acquired by Daikin, one of the largest and most technically capable HVAC manufacturers in the world, and that relationship has lifted the engineering behind these units. Goodman's warranty has historically been strong. They have offered long compressor warranties that match or beat the competition. The honest caveat is that some of the fit and finish is not quite at the level of Carrier or Trane, and some components in the lower-tier Goodman models have shown more variability. But for a homeowner who wants good value and has a skilled installer, Goodman is a real option that should not be dismissed just because of the price. Now, the one I promised you at the top, the brand that surprises most people. If I had to point at one brand that consistently punches above its weight in the real world, that holds up well in independent assessments, and that gives a solid homeowner genuine value without the brand name premium, it is Rheem at the mid-tier level, paired with a great installer. Not the bottom of the Rheem lineup, not the stripped-down entry model, the middle of their range, in the 14 to 16 SEER range for most climates. That combination of reasonable efficiency, solid construction, accessible parts, and a wide service network is where the math works out best for most people. Open your camera app right now and point it at the QR code in the top right corner of your screen. The guide has a full side-by-side breakdown of the brands I just discussed, with a deeper look at what each one does well and where each one has shown weak spots. If you are getting quotes in the next few weeks or months, that section of the guide is going to be worth more than the time you spend reading it. Let me talk about SEER ratings now, because this is where a lot of well-intentioned homeowners get talked into spending more than they need to. SEER stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. The higher the number, the more efficient the unit. A 14 SEER unit uses noticeably more electricity to produce the same cooling as an 18 or 20 SEER unit. That sounds straightforward. Higher is better. But here is the part the salesperson often glosses over. The efficiency gains at the very top of the SEER range carry a steep price premium. Going from a 14 SEER to a 16 SEER unit will save you a meaningful amount on your energy bills over time. Going from a 16 SEER to a 22 SEER might save you something, but the upfront cost difference is substantial. And in many climates, the payback period, the time it takes for the energy savings to cover the extra cost, stretches out to many years. In a mild climate, where you run the system 4 months a year, a very high SEER unit may never fully pay for itself before the equipment needs to be replaced. In warmer climates where the air conditioner runs hard for 7 or 8 months out of the year, the higher SEER makes more sense. A homeowner in Florida or Texas running the system almost constantly will see real savings from a higher efficiency unit. A homeowner in Ohio or Pennsylvania who runs the AC from June through August should do the math carefully before spending a significant premium on a 20-plus SEER unit. For most people, the sweet spot is right around 16 SEER. You get meaningful efficiency gains over the baseline. You avoid the steep upfront premium of the very high-efficiency systems, and you are buying equipment that most technicians know how to service without specialized training. Variable speed compressors deserve a mention here. These are units that can ramp up and down rather than simply being on or off. They are better at dehumidification, they run more quietly, and in the right application, they do deliver better comfort. They also cost more upfront and introduce more complexity into the system. If you live somewhere with persistent humidity issues, a variable speed or two-stage unit might genuinely improve how comfortable your home feels. If you live somewhere that is hot and dry, a good single-stage unit properly sized will do the job without the added cost and complexity. The other factor that belongs in this conversation is the warranty. Manufacturer warranties vary in what they actually cover and for how long, and the details matter more than people realize. Most reputable manufacturers offer a 10-year parts warranty, but that warranty is often conditional on registering the product within a set number of days of installation. If you do not register, you may drop to a much shorter coverage window. Make sure your installer handles that registration, or do it yourself. It takes 5 minutes, and it protects years of coverage. Beyond the manufacturer warranty, ask your installer about a labor warranty. Parts alone do not cover you. When something fails, you need someone to come out and fix it, and labor is expensive. Some contractors offer an extended service agreement that covers both parts and labor. Whether that is worth it depends on the contractor's reputation and what they charge. A trustworthy local contractor with a long track record is often the best warranty you can buy, because they stand behind their work without you having to fight through a call center. At around the 2/3 mark of everything I have covered today, I want to circle back to the point about sizing and installation, because the full step-by-step of how to evaluate an installer, what questions to ask, and how to read a Manual J report is laid out in detail in the guide. Open your camera app, point it at the QR code still sitting in the top right corner of your screen, and you can have that section in front of you before your next contractor conversation. That single piece of preparation could save you from a costly mistake before any equipment even gets ordered. Let me say something about the service network factor, because it shapes the whole ownership experience in ways people underestimate. The best unit in the world is a problem if there is only one technician in your county who works on it. When something goes wrong, and eventually something always does, you want to be able to call 3 or 4 local companies and have them be familiar with your equipment. Carrier and Train have the widest dealer and service networks, which is a real advantage even if you pay a bit more upfront. Ream has a solid network as well. This is one place where the big name premium can be worth it, depending on where you live. If you live in a more rural area, I would lean harder toward brands with the broadest parts availability and service familiarity, and away from any unit that requires proprietary components that only one supplier stocks. Serviceability is a feature that rarely shows up on the spec sheet, but it matters enormously over a 15-year ownership period. Here is a practical approach I suggest to anyone navigating this process. Get at least 3 quotes. Make sure each contractor explains their sizing methodology. If they cannot explain it plainly, move on. Ask each one which brand they carry and why. A contractor who can give you a specific, honest answer about both the strengths and the limitations of what they recommend is more trustworthy than one who says their brand is simply the best. Ask what their labor warranty covers and for how long. Ask how long they have been servicing equipment in your area. And ask what it costs to get them out for a service call, because you will likely need one at some point in the unit's life. The contractor who answers all of those questions without getting defensive and without trying to rush you toward a decision is the contractor who has earned your business. Good equipment and a good installer are not mutually exclusive. When you find a contractor who genuinely knows their craft and recommends solid equipment at a fair price, that combination is the real answer to the question this video started with. Before I wrap up, open your camera app one more time and point it at the QR code in the top right corner of your screen. The guide that goes with this video pulls together everything I covered today: the brand comparison, the SEER sizing guide, the installer questions, and the warranty checklist into one place you can keep and reference whenever you are ready to make a move. It is the kind of document I wish someone had handed me the first time I was navigating this decision. Point your camera at that code in the top right corner, and it is yours. So let me pull it all together. The best AC unit to buy is not a single model name or a single brand. It is the right equipment, properly sized for your home, installed by someone who does careful work and stands behind it. For most homeowners, in most climates, that means a mid-range unit in the 16 SEER range from a brand with a strong service network, and Rheem at that level represents outstanding value that routinely gets overlooked. Pair it with a contractor who does a proper load calculation, registers your warranty, and offers a labor warranty on their installation, and you are set up well. This week, start collecting contractor names. Ask neighbors. Ask your local hardware store. Look for companies with a long history in your area. Next month, get your 3 quotes. And when you sit down with each contractor, ask the sizing question first. The answer tells you everything you need to know about whether you are talking to someone who is going to do the job right. There is no money in teaching folks the simple thing that actually works. The money is in selling the complicated, expensive version of it. So be the one who walks in knowing the difference, because now you do. If you have replaced an AC unit in the last few years, I would genuinely love to hear what brand you went with and whether you are happy with how it has held up. Leave that in the comments. Those real-world experiences help everyone else who is trying to make this same decision. And if you want to see how this conversation connects to a different part of the picture, the next video walks through what happens when a new unit is installed but still does not cool the house the way it should, because it happens more than you would think, and the answer is not what most people expect. If you have not subscribed yet, I hope you will. This is the kind of plain, honest conversation I aim to have every single time.